my goodness, Virgo. I need you to stop everything right now. Whatever you are doing, whatever thought was pulling at your mind, whatever worry or question or low-level background hum of uncertainty has been coloring your experience of recent days, set it down for the next few minutes. Because what came through for Virgo today is the kind of message that I genuinely did not expect when I sat down to open this energy. The kind that makes you put your cards down and just breathe for a moment before you even attempt to translate it into words. Because what is coming for you is not an incremental improvement, not a slight easing of pressure, not the modest, manageable kind of shift that moves things a few degrees in a better direction. What is coming is a full 180 degrees, a complete reversal, a turning around so total, so comprehensive, so undeniable in its scope, that the version of your life that exists on the other side of it will be unrecognizable compared to where you are standing right now. Not unrecognizable because you have become someone else. Unrecognizable because the circumstances around you, the conditions under which you have been living, the specific limitations and pressures and unresolved things that have been defining the landscape of your recent experience will have been so thoroughly transformed that the landscape itself will look entirely different. And it is God doing this. That is the part I want to make sure lands before we go anywhere else. Not luck, not circumstance, not the natural, gradual improvement that time sometimes produces in the absence of specific intervention. Something is working on your behalf at a level that exceeds what any human strategy or human effort or human timing could have produced. Something that has been watching your situation with full knowledge of everything you have been carrying and has decided that the time for carrying it is over. Miracles are coming, Virgo. Real ones. And I want to walk you through exactly what is being assembled for you. Let me begin by speaking to where you are right now, because the 180-degree turn only makes sense in the context of what it is turning from. And I think honoring where you are before we get to where you are going matters enormously. You have been in something heavy, not heavy in the way of something that arrived suddenly and dramatically and announced its weight immediately. Heavy in that quieter, more insidious way of things that accumulate gradually, that add themselves one at a time to what you are carrying until one day you realize you have been moving through your life with significantly more weight than any person should be expected to carry without it affecting the quality of their daily experience. The specific texture of what you have been carrying is different for different Virgos watching this. For some, it is financial. The specific grinding quality of not having enough and having to make every decision through the filter of what you can and cannot afford. For others, it is relational. The weight of something unresolved in a connection that matters, something that has been sitting in that uncomfortable between state of not fully here and not fully gone, and requiring energy to navigate without producing resolution. For still others, it is professional. The exhaustion of contributing at a high level without receiving the recognition or the compensation or the opportunities that the quality of your contribution warrants. And for many of you, it is some combination of all of these things simultaneously, because difficult seasons tend not to arrive in single categories. They tend to touch multiple areas at once, each one making the others heavier, the whole becoming something more challenging than any single part would have been on its own. Spirit sees all of it, every layer, every category, every specific weight, and Spirit is saying, enough. This season is complete. I need to pause here because something just came through with extraordinary force, and I want to make sure I receive it properly before I continue. I am being shown something that I can only describe as divine preparation. The specific energetic quality of something that has been being assembled behind the scenes of your life in a dimension you do not have direct access to, with a level of care and specificity that is genuinely staggering. What is coming for you has not been thrown together hastily. It has not been assembled in response to a single prayer or a single moment of need. It has been built carefully with full knowledge of who you are and what you need and what form the restoration of your life needs to take to actually fit the specific person you have become through everything you have walked through. The miracles that are approaching are custom made for you, fitted to the exact dimensions of your specific need, rather than the general version of need that generic blessings address. And the fitting of them to you, the specific precision of what is coming, is what makes them miracles rather than simply good things happening. Good things happen to people somewhat randomly. Miracles are specific. They carry your name on them. They arrive through channels that address exactly what you need in exactly the form you need it. And the precision of them is the evidence of the hand that assembled them. I want to speak to the full 180-degree nature of what is coming because I think it is important to understand the comprehensiveness of what God is doing in your life right now. A 180-degree turn is not a partial reversal. It is not most things improving while some things remain difficult. It is a complete change of direction. Everything that has been moving away from what you need, turning around and moving toward it instead, every thread of your life that has been pulling in the wrong direction, reversing itself and beginning to pull in the right one. I am seeing this comprehensiveness very clearly in the energy of this reading. Multiple areas of your life shifting simultaneously. Not one thing changing and then after a period, another thing changing in response. Multiple things together, as though the entire landscape of your circumstances has received an instruction to reverse and is following that instruction at once. The financial thread is reversing. Something that has been draining is stopping. Something that has been blocked is opening. A resource or an opportunity or a resolution to a financial situation that has been unresolved is arriving in a form and at a speed that reflects the urgency of what God is doing in this season. The relational thread is reversing. Something in the landscape of your connections is shifting in a direction that has not been available to it recently. A door that has been closed is opening. A person who has been distant is drawing near, or a connection that has been draining is completing and making space for something that nourishes rather than depletes. The professional thread is reversing. The recognition, the opportunity, the door in your career that has been taking longer to open than the quality of your work warranted is opening, not slowly, with the specific speed of something that has been delayed long enough and that is now moving to compensate for the delay. All of these reversals are occurring together. That is the miracle. Not that any single one of them would be impossible on its own, that all of them are happening simultaneously, coordinated, as though someone with full view of your entire life decided that all of it needed to change at once and made sure that it did. Does this feel like something you have been praying for, Virgo? Not just hoping for in the general sense, but genuinely, specifically getting on your knees praying for? Have you had moments of crying out for something to change, for relief, for God to show up in your situation in a way that was unmistakable? Let me know in the comments. I want to know how this is landing for you right now. I want to speak to the prayers because I feel them very specifically in this reading, and I think it is important for you to understand what happened to them. They were heard, every single one, not the polished, formal, said in the right words ones, all of them. The desperate, middle of the night, I do not even know how to ask for what I need ones. The ones said through tears without complete sentences. The ones that were more groaning than words. The ones you almost stopped saying because the waiting had gone on long enough that continuing to ask felt like an act of faith you were not sure you still had. Every single one was heard and held and responded to. The response is what is arriving now. And I want you to understand something about why the response is arriving now rather than earlier, because I know the question of timing has probably sat with you. Why did it take this long? Why was the prayer not answered sooner? Why did God wait until now? Spirit is showing me something about this. The answer is not that the prayers were not important enough or not specific enough or not faithful enough. The answer is preparation. Your preparation, the specific internal character and understanding and depth preparation that could only happen through walking through exactly what you have been walking through. The preparation that makes you someone who can hold what is coming without it overwhelming you, who can receive a miracle without being destabilized by it, who can steward what arrives with the wisdom that only develops through the kind of difficulty you have been navigating. God was not absent during the waiting. God was preparing you for the answer. And now the answer is ready. And so are you. Inhale deeply, Virgo. I want to speak to what the miraculous shift is going to feel like as it begins to arrive, because I think naming the experience of it will help you recognize it when it comes and receive it with the full presence it deserves. The first thing you are going to notice is movement in areas of your life that have been static. The specific quality of things that have been stuck beginning to shift, not dramatically at first, quietly. A small thing here, a development there, something that by itself would seem like an ordinary positive occurrence, but that in the context of everything else that begins to move, you will understand as part of something larger. The second thing is doors. Opportunities presenting themselves that were not previously available. Connections arriving through channels you were not monitoring. Something presenting itself in your life that fits the specific shape of what you have needed so precisely that the fit itself is evidence of something more than coincidence. The third thing is people. The right people showing up at the right time with exactly what the moment requires. Someone who appears and becomes a vehicle for something you have been waiting for. Someone whose arrival in your life in this specific season is so specifically timed that you will understand it as the hand of God making a move. Pay attention to all of these. They are the pieces of the miracle assembling themselves in your visible life, each one worth noticing, each one worth receiving with gratitude. I want to speak to something that Spirit is showing me about your role in what is unfolding, because the miracle is God's work, but your participation in receiving it matters. You are being asked to do something that is genuinely difficult for someone who has been in a heavy season. You are being asked to expect good things, not to perform positivity, not to pretend you feel better than you do, or to force yourself into an emotional state that your current circumstances do not warrant, but to genuinely, deliberately, internally choose to hold the expectation of good things arriving as your baseline orientation toward the immediate future. Expectation opens you. It creates a specific quality of readiness in you that allows what is coming to find you in a state of genuine receptivity rather than the closed, braced, protective state that sustained difficulty tends to produce. And readiness matters because even the most specifically fitted miracle cannot land properly in someone who is so closed against disappointment that they cannot let anything through. Open yourself to expectation, Virgo. Not because the evidence currently present in your circumstances fully supports it, but because what God has assembled for you is real and it requires a version of you that is open enough to receive it. Be that version, even if it requires a deliberate act of will to get there. The opening is worth it. Let me speak to the gratitude that Spirit is also bringing through, because it is part of this message and I do not want to leave it out. There is something God wants you to receive alongside everything else that is coming. An awareness that even in the heaviest parts of the season you have been in, even in the moments that felt most forgotten, most unanswered, most like evidence that nothing was working on your behalf, you were being held, not rescued from the difficulty, held within it, accompanied through it, seen in every moment of it with a clarity and a care that did not require the difficulty to be removed in order to be real. The miracle that is coming is not proof that God only shows up when things are good. It is the next expression of a presence that has been constant throughout. That was there in the difficulty as surely as it is here in the breakthrough. That held you through what was hard as the same act of care that is now delivering what you have been praying for. Receive the miracle with the gratitude of someone who knows this, who understands that what is arriving is not separate from what has already been given, but is continuous with it. The same love, the same faithfulness, the same specific attention to who you are and what you need, simply moving from the form of accompanying you through difficulty into the form of releasing you from it. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with something that I feel is the essential heart of everything that came through today. God has not forgotten you. God has not been absent. God has not been weighing your situation and finding it insufficiently deserving of intervention. God has been preparing, assembling, building toward a moment of comprehensive, specific, undeniably miraculous reversal of everything that has been heavy in your life. And that moment is here, or so close to here that the distinction between here and imminent is negligible. The full 180-degree turn is not a future possibility to be hoped for carefully. It is a current reality that is in process, already in motion, already past the point of being simply potential and into the phase of actual, imminent, arriving in your visible life materialization. Expect it, Virgo. Expect miracles. Expect doors to open that you stopped believing would open. Expect provision to arrive through channels you had stopped monitoring. Expect people to show up with exactly what is needed at exactly the right moment. Expect the heaviness to lift in a way that feels not just like relief, but like the specific, complete, this is what prayer answered actually feels like quality of something genuinely miraculous occurring in your ordinary life, because that is what is coming. Not eventually, not someday. Now, God is working. And what God works is not partial or insufficient or barely enough. What God works is exactly what is needed in exactly the form it is needed in at exactly the right moment. And your moment is here. If this reading moves something in you today, please share it with a Virgo who needs to feel this energy right now. And leave me a comment below. Tell me how this landed. Tell me what you have been carrying. Tell me what you have been praying for. Tell me what it feels like to hear that the answer is already in motion. I read every single word you share. Every story matters to me deeply, and I carry your energy with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, God has not forgotten you. The miracle is already on its way, and your life is about to show you exactly what that means. Get ready to receive everything.